How are you?
I'm good. How you
Good.
doing?
I'm very well. Thank you. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
It's okay. What's going on? What's good at the moment?
Well, I just got back from a short run with Snarky
Hmm.
and the Metropole Orchestra in
Yeah.
Holland,
Okay.
and we did like a gig and we did two gigs in the Canary Islands in Gran Canaria and Tenerife,
Right.
and then we played one gig just Snarky
Hmm.
in Barcelona. Yeah,
How
it was
how were they?
fun,
How'd they go?
but go ahead.
But go on. But I heard a but. It was
I'm
fun, but
having I'm having some hand issues,
oh right. Okay.
and it was like it started actually in a rehearsal right before our first gig, and it's been bothering me ever since. So it's been like a
Hmm.
week. So now I'm
Okay.
home and I'm just trying to like rest, and I'm doing some um, exercises and stuff that I think will work. So, but
Okay.
it's scary, and
Yeah. Is that something that's happened before? Or is it brand new?
it happened like 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I got like tendonitis, and I didn't play guitar for like 6 months.
Wow. Okay.
It was crazy, and ever since I found this structural therapist who does something called Hoshino therapy in New
Hmm.
York, and it was great. And he also teaches you how to like do these massages on your own and these different
Hmm.
stretches and stuff. And I've been doing it like, every day basically since, and it helps a
Wow.
lot. But
Okay.
every once in a while, I'll have like a pain or something, but it usually goes away in like a day. But to be honest with you, this is the worst it's been since 20 years ago.
Wow.
So
That's not good news.
and
What
never and
what
it never lasts more than like a day or two. And this has been
yeah.
like a week.
What gauge strings do you use?
11.
Maybe down to tens? Do you think that may be the issue?
I doubt that's the issue, but it could help. I used to use 10s, and then I did go to 10s. And then I went back to 11s, but I went back to 11s years ago.
Okay.
We'll see if it gets down to the little things like that, then I'll
Yeah.
obviously do whatever I need to do. But
Yeah, I mean, that's scary. I mean, I had, like, pains in, like, the top of my wrist here.
that's where it is for me. It's like
Yeah,
right here
and
and
that
a
little
little bit in here
and
too.
I had this big bump came up on the top of the wrist when I bent the wrist like that, and, it was I couldn't play, and I think I had to rest for about a month, and I dropped down strings from tens to n's, and it hasn't come back, and that was, I don't know, it was around lockdown, I think, so maybe, yeah, 4 or 5 years.
Oh, okay,
But yeah.
so it wasn't a cyst though or anything.
No, I don't know. Whatever the lump disappeared, it went down, but I kind of Googled it and they said it might have just been like a buildup of fluid and it's just as
Mm,
you've not played, it's just dispersed. I
interesting.
didn't I didn't I didn't go to a physio or anything like that.
Yeah,
But
interesting.
yeah, I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
yeah, it's scary. Like I
it's
heard of a
scary.
guy who actually broke his wrist and couldn't play and he had to then start playing right-handed guitar, switch to left-handed because his
Wow.
left hand was buggered. So
Yeah, yeah, it's
stuff like
crazy,
that
man.
fills you with dread.
It
So other
does.
than that, other than that, how's life? How was Europe? Do you like going into Europe and traveling around a bit?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, yeah. We've been doing that for years too, and it's always a great time going over there.
Yeah. Yes, that's cool. There's
Yeah,
some
everything's good besides
wonderful
that.
places.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, for sure.
So let's talk. Like, how did you get into music? What was your first sort of? How old were you when you started playing? Did you start with guitar or you another
Yeah, I
instrument?
did start with guitar. My dad plays. That's what initially got me into it, and he was kind of like an amateur, but kind of like semi-pro.
Right.
Like he used to do like some gigs here and there, and he had a band. So when I was a kid, there was always like musicians over the house and stuff and friends of his. And I started playing when I was like, well, I got lessons when I was like 7.
Okay.
And I was kind of into it for a bit, but it didn't totally take. And then I kind of put it down. I was probably like 8 or something when I stopped.
Hmm.
And then probably when I was around like 11, I got really into the Beatles.
Okay.
And then when I was 12, I started playing again. My dad had like a Beatles chord book,
Hmm.
and there was obviously a bunch of guitars laying around. So I just kind of started learning songs out of the chord book. I already kind of like knew enough to like understand how to read the diagrams and stuff.
Yeah.
So I just did that, and that's what kind of started it. And then I started playing with his band when I was like 14, and that was like a game changer. You know,
Yeah.
to play music with like real human beings was like
Mm.
amazing.
Yeah, I think that's such a valuable step to take, and it's kind of that first big step you take from when you're sort of having lessons, you're playing songs along to the records or radios or whatever,
Hmm.
and then you make that transition to playing with other people, and it's like, oh, this doesn't quite feel the same. It's a little loose. I mean, like it was for me because I wasn't playing with pro players or semi-pro players. It was kids in a garage, so
Yeah,
it's like, cool. This isn't this. This is this. Well, okay, all right. So it's yeah, an important step, and I think it's kind
yeah,
of one that it seems to be almost negated now. There's a lot of kids that don't really want to do like most of my students aren't really that interested. They're kind of interested in the whole Instagram shooting reels and posting it, and like, no, no,
yeah.
try this.
It's so interesting. It's so different now. It's like,
Mm,
yeah, I think you're right too. It's like when we were kids doing that, because I played with friends in school too. It's like discovering things together.
yeah,
Discovering things on your own is great, and then also it's like kind of like a different animal, like discovering things with a group of friends, like-minded people, and kind of like figuring out how this all goes as a group.
yeah,
It's exciting, and it's like, yeah, it's like something that like I think a lot of kids do miss these days if they're not interested in
yeah.
playing with people.
It is. Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned the Beatles. I don't know why, but that an old story I heard of Paul McCartney. I think it was Paul McCartney and John Lennon traveling across Liverpool to find a guy who knew a chord that they didn't know. They
That's so
jumped on a
funny.
bus. They jumped on a bus. They travelled across town. They hunted down this guy to show them a chord they didn't know how to play. I don't know. That just kind of that story just popped into my head, and that kind of
Yeah,
thing is definitely lost because if you need to play C7 flat 9, you can just Google it. How do you play
yeah,
C7 flat 9 on the and there it is. There's the little chord diagram.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah. You could,
that kind of dedication to like this guy knows how to play a G7. Let's fucking work. We're going to jump on the bus and go find him.
yeah. Well, I heard a crazy story that I heard that Johann Sebastian Bach, like,
Mm,
I heard that he like had a teacher who lived like in another city in Germany. It was like
mm.
45 miles away or something, and he would walk there
Shit.
and then spend like a few months there and then walk back
Right.
home.
Oh my
So
god.
like
Jesus,
it's
cuz
crazy.
yeah. That would 45 miles. That would take you what?
Probably take you
There's a
weeks,
day
right?
or day no, 2 days? I don't know.
I feel like it would take, well, maybe weeks isn't, maybe it wouldn't take weeks. I feel like it would take like a week if you were taking like, obviously you'd have to take breaks and sleep and stuff. It would probably
Yeah,
take like a
shit,
week.
no. Yeah, it would actually,
Anyway,
yeah.
I don't know if that
Anyway,
story's true, but it's like,
that's dedication to the
it's
craft though.
incredible. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
and what were the first I mean, you said you mentioned learning the Beatles, and, like, how
Mhm.
did you make that transition? Was there anything that sort of pushed you into, because I mean, I know you from doing the Snarky Puppy gigs and that sort of jazz funk kind of thing.
Mhm.
What sort of drew you into that?
Well, when I was a kid, I just was into all the classic stuff. I got into the Beatles, and then my big three obsessions were the Beatles, and then Zeppelin, and then Pink Floyd. So
Hmm,
all the really classic things. And then I started getting into like a little bit more virtuosic guitar playing. I got into like Steve Vai and Steve Ray Vaughan and Eddie Van
hmm.
Halen, and that was kind of where I was. And then I met this teacher, this guy named Chris Bono. Do you know him?
I don't know. What was it? Chris
Chris Bono,
Bonham?
Buono. We grew up in the same town, but he was a little bit older than me, and he was like kind of playing gigs in New York and kind of coming out of like a funk and jazz background. So I started studying with him, and that kind of really changed everything for me
Mm,
because, well, that was kind of the first person I ever met who was like really a professional musician and really
mm,
out there doing it. And
mm,
for me, I was kind of felt like I want to be a musician, but I thought that like, basically you were going to be like Jimmy Page or you were going to
mm.
be nobody.
Right.
I didn't realize that there was like so many people that were just making a living being musicians, like kind of behind the scenes. Were like doing gigs and sideman stuff and a little bit of
Yeah.
teaching and all the various things that one does as a professional musician. So he kind of like, in a very practical way, just made me realize that, there's things you can do besides being a superstar, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
So I made it much more attainable. And then also the musical side of it, I got really into like James Brown and Sly and the Family Stone and Parliament and Prince and all the jazz stuff.
Mm.
He got me really into like McLaughlin and Wes Montgomery and
Mm.
all that stuff. So that was kind of what brought me into the jazz world,
Yeah.
initially.
Okay. All right. And did you study music? Like, did you study at college, or was it just all through private lessons, or just books
Yeah,
and stuff?
I went to North Texas, University of North Texas.
Hmm.
So I studied with him, and then I started studying with this guy Vic Juris. You know Vic
Okay.
Juris?
No, but
He's a
I'm writing all
great,
these names down.
yeah, he's a great jazz player who he died a few years ago, but
All right. I won't get him on the podcast.
yeah, I don't think so. But he was amazing, and he played with a lot of great people. I think he was playing with Dave Liebman for a while. He's a great player, and he lived in North Jersey, so I started studying with him, and that was, I guess, right before I went to North Texas. So then after that, I went to school for jazz studies, and then most of the Snarky Puppy guys met in Texas at that school.
Okay. Nice. Um, how do you? I mean, do you? I don't know if you keep up with like modern music colleges, and you have any thoughts on them, on modern education? Are you kind of out of
Mm.
that loop now? You're just out gigging on the road and doing your own thing?
I guess I'm a little bit out of that loop. Yeah. I've done a lot of like clinics and master classes and stuff at various colleges though. And
I suppose.
I always feel like there's a lot of great players.
Yeah.
So I think they're definitely doing something right. There's
Okay.
still a
All
lot of
right.
people that are super inspired to be learning
Mm,
different kinds of things and
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know. I'm always curious about people's take on, particularly people that went to college. I don't know how long that was, 25 years ago, how it's kind of changed, and how education inside schools has changed. And do you think it's changed for the better or the worse?
Mm. Yeah, I don't really know actually about
Hmm.
that.
Okay.
But yeah, my experience with it now is just kind of like coming in, doing a master class, and then leaving, you know?
And how do you enjoy doing them, those master classes?
I like it. Yeah. It's fun because, I always end up thinking about things differently than I normally would, and
Hmm.
like when you have to when you have to like explain how to do something, like I'll usually like jot down some notes to myself about things that maybe I can talk about. And I always end up learning things that I probably wouldn't have if I didn't have to go through that process. And then
Yeah.
also if I'm doing master classes with a band or something, then
Hmm.
hearing the other guys talk is always super helpful as well.
Yeah. And
Snarky
what's
Puppy used to do tons of those at various colleges and stuff,
yeah.
and I always learned a lot about their process, and learning myself through that. You know,
Okay. How does, like, so I know with things with Snarky Puppy, it's less of a band and more of a, like, rotating musicians. And I was just wondering how that works.
yeah. Well, that sort of came about initially just through necessity.
Mm.
I was living in New York, and Chris McQueen and Mark Lettieri were living in Texas still. And the band was kind of based out of Texas at that time. So, if we had like no money. So
Yeah.
so if there was like one gig, I think the first time Mark played with us, if I'm not mistaken, is that Chris wasn't available, I think, and I was in New York, and it was like one gig and Mike didn't have enough money. Mike Lee, the
Mm.
band leader,
Yeah.
didn't have enough money to buy me a flight for one gig.
Right.
So we knew Mark just from the scene playing in town.
Mm.
So he had him play on that one gig, and he sounded great. So then he kind of became a band member.
Okay. And how many
So
members are there?
there's like 25 or something like that. I don't even know exactly.
I mean,
But
I think
now, so it's like,
that's such a cool idea.
yeah, well, so basically, like people would also sub out if they had another gig that paid
Mm.
more, and all
Yeah.
all other gigs paid more at that time. So we kind of had like whoever was available, and if they were local, especially, then they would be more likely to play on those gigs. And
Hmm.
then people would sub out, and then basically, like if someone subbed and sounded great, they would basically just be in the band,
Yeah,
you know.
that's cool.
So so that's how we got three guitars. And so when we make records, all three of us are there. But
Hmm.
when we do gigs, it's really just one of us at a time, and we kind of
Okay.
just take turns. It's really pretty evenly split.
And how,
And
like
it's
things
like
like
and
the go
I
on,
was
I'll let
gonna
you
just
finish.
say it's like that for other instruments too. It's like that for percussion, it's like that for
Yeah,
drums, you know?
nice. And so are there specific parts that each player has for each song, or does everybody play the same thing, or is it a bit of a so long as you get close to this, that's fine?
Yeah, it's well, when we make the records, we usually have specific parts that we're gonna do
Yeah.
because there's so many people on the records that we kinda have to.
Yeah, okay.
When we play live, it's the band is so much smaller, so it just kinda depends on from tune to tune, like, sometimes we might play a gig and there might only be, like, 3 horns. So, maybe the guitar player would end up playing a melody that they don't play
Mhm.
just to help give the melody some weight. If there's
Yeah.
4 horns, maybe the guitar player would play chords instead.
Mm.
So, it's kind of like making sure that whatever needs to be heard is being heard. And
Yeah.
so you kinda have to know multiple parts and, make sure you're aware of what part needs more weight on a particular
Yeah.
section. But, like, me, Chris, and Mark all kinda have we generally will play the same parts, on a tour,
Mhm.
but I'm sure we all have our variations too where, Mark may often play this melody and I may play chords instead, unless Mike says, "Play the melody here," you know,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. It's kind of things move around a lot, basically.
That's nice. I mean, I think it's such a cool idea. I mean, I think that rotating musicians will just give you just a slightly different sound or a slightly different feel. It's like, oh, we got
Mhm.
a different drummer tonight. So, well, it's gonna feel slightly different. Maybe it's gonna be slightly rushed. Maybe it's gonna be slightly held back. It's just, and I really like it. Like I have my own function band that I gig regularly with, and same thing. I just have rotating musicians, and every drummer sounds different. They do things slightly differently. I I I I just love playing with different people. I think
Yeah. I
it's a
think it's
great,
great for the audience and it's great for the band. It's inspiring for the band to have new energy on a
yeah.
gig, because usually, like, whoever's on a tour will be on the whole tour. So if it's like a 3-week tour, it'll be the same lineup for that tour, and then the next
Sure.
tour, it'll shift some, you know?
Yeah. Cool. And what's I mean, you're in New York.
Now I'm in South Carolina.
Okay. And what's South Carolina like? What's the music scene like down there?
Um, it's interesting. I'm in Charleston. I don't know if you've been here, but
Not South, no.
it's like the wedding capital of the country, if not the world.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, there's lots of hotels and stuff. There's tons of gigs here.
Yeah.
Um, but it's mostly kind of like society kinda gigs. There's a lot of
Mhm.
wedding gigs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, hotel gigs where people will just play standards or something. So there's some really great musicians. There's not a huge creative music scene. There's some, but there's not a ton. It's kinda like just a few people kind of doing creative things here and there. But you could definitely work here. But I don't really do that much in town. I'll play gigs once in a while. Mostly I'm kind of just working on stuff from home and then I travel.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Cool. And what about practicing? What does practicing look like? Do you call it practice? Is it just playing?
Yeah, I call it practice. A lot of times I would say actually for quite a while now, my goal is to try and get back to playing by ear, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
You know, uh, when I was a kid, I played by ear all the time.
Mm.
And then when I went to college, when I started playing jazz, I kind of started to feel like, well, you kind of have to just know what works because nobody can hear melodies over these kinds of chords, you
Yeah.
know? And what I met some friends here and there and some teachers here and there where they were doing that. They were playing essentially by ear. you know? And I was like, man, how the hell can you do that? So
Mm.
I've been trying to like get back to that. So I guess a lot of what I do in terms of practice, and like I said, it's been like that for a while, is trying to release tension and be more connected to the instrument
Hmm.
from a tension free place.
Tension, as in your musical tension or physical tension?
Kind of physical,
Right.
trying to like relax more,
Yeah.
um, and really connect to the instrument. I don't know. I don't want to sound too airy fairy, but more in like a spiritual way, you know?
Sound airy fairy? That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess, like I said, besides that, the other thing is just trying to hear melodies over a chord progression, no matter how complex it is, rather than
Mm.
just saying like, okay, I know that if I play Mixolydian here, it's going to work, you know?
Yeah.
Instead, just hearing a line that goes through the chords, you know?
Yeah. I think that's
So,
I think that's the challenge for most people is how to turn scales into music.
mhm,
And I think guitar
yeah.
players suffer with it. I don't know, I'd say more than most people just because we can just keep playing. We don't have to stop and
Mhm.
take a breath. We don't have to go again. So yeah, we're just just for hours if we need to. I
Yeah,
see it a
and
lot
it's
with
so
go on.
yeah, and guitar is just so pattern based,
Mm,
it's like it's just a grid. You can just memorize shapes,
yeah,
and then you can play something that sounds passable. You can play something that doesn't sound wrong if you just
yeah,
memorize shapes and stuff. And I guess maybe it's the same for something like piano or something,
yeah,
but
yeah.
like a horn or something, it's like I think inherently you kind of have to be able to hear a little bit more of what you're going for.
Mm,
Especially
yeah,
like on a trumpet or something, where so
yeah,
much of it is like you have to. I mean, trumpet players have told me that you kind of have to know that you have to intentionally play a particular note,
mm,
and then the fingerings help facilitate that. But a lot of it is coming from like the way you hold your embouchure or something.
yeah.
So it's I think you kind
You
of
ever
have
tried
to hear more. Sorry,
you ever tried brass?
I never played brass. No, I've only kind of played a little bit of piano and guitar,
Yeah.
basically.
I remember I used to work in a music shop and the woodwind guy said, "Look, just try it. Just try a saxophone." It was just
Yeah, yeah.
and,
Seems like a hard instrument.
yeah, like, and he said this is the easiest one. If you're gonna do a brass or wind instrument, sax is the easiest one because you
Yeah,
got keys that you've got to push down and you've got a fairly easy mouthpiece. Like flute is a
yeah,
bitch because you've got to get that lip thing right, and
yeah,
clarinet, you've got to cover the holes. Yeah.
and I
Yeah,
think trumpet has gotta be one of the hardest.
I did Google how to play the trumpet. I remember, no, I talked to somebody. I was like, you know what? I fancy giving trumpet a go. And he went, don't bother. Don't bother. It's too difficult.
Everyone I
You could
know
do it.
says that.
He said, but you will have to spend literally hours a day just to try and get a note out. And you've got to maintain that as well. It's not something you can just come back to like piano. It's like, oh, piano, I can kind of remember like with guitar, I can
Mhm,
remember the patterns and the shapes.
yeah.
But yeah,
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 trumpet, it's like
I gave that a miss.
in order to keep your physical ability together, you gotta do it every day. Otherwise, you're gonna, like, blow your chops out or something.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I think I'll just leave it. If I need it, I'll get someone else to come and do it.
Yeah.
And so what about getting better? Like, what's your approach to getting better? Like, like, how do you measure getting better?
Hmm.
Is it something you think about or care about?
I do care about it, but I guess I would say that I try not to think so goal-based,
Mm,
I think I did when I was younger, and it was probably useful at a time, but I think these days I just kind of try to, like, connect to the instrument just about every day, you
yeah.
know, um, or at least most days of the week. Maybe I'll take a day off, but I like to try and do it every day
Mhm.
and just kind of try to engage with the process rather than thinking so much about goals. Or, if I do have goals, maybe they're kind of like, I don't know, like really little goals.
Mm,
Like, like maybe like learning a new standard or something, learning a tune that I haven't played before or something.
Okay.
And trying to just, kind of breaking it into pieces, like learn the melody, learn the lyrics
Hmm.
if it has lyrics, learn the melody, sing it, be able to play it, be able to improvise on it, you know.
Yeah.
So like little things like that, I guess you could see as goals, but generally I just like to put my hands on the guitar every day and do whatever I'm sort of guided to do in that
Yeah.
particular moment, and it might be something different the next day.
Okay. And is there anything that you like you want to work towards? Like my hybrid picking always needs a little bit of work, so I tend to work on that quite a bit. Is there anything that you're like, do you know what? I need to really brush up on this.
I guess I would say, like I was saying before, I mean, just I want to be able to play anything that I'm hearing, you know,
Mm.
um, regardless of how complicated the changes are or whatever, Uh, so that's one thing I'm always like trying to do. I guess besides that, I'll go through phases where like I'll like have fun just playing with a metronome, like, and I'll do it in different ways. Maybe I'll put it on quarter notes, obviously, but then I might put it on like dotted quarters
Okay.
or like just the downbeat of every other measure or something like that. You
Okay.
know, just trying to like find it's almost just like trying to explore a variety of things that seem interesting to me in the moment. You know.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, I think that the metronome one is really good. I love putting the metronome on. I had a teacher that he turned the click on, and it was on something ridiculous like 40 or 50. And so it was clicking along super slowly. He said, just count those as you would call them quarter notes, but I want you to
Hmm.
play eighth notes. I
Hmm.
was like, right, okay. And then he started muting each beat. So I just get
Okay.
one. And then so it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And then it's just one for fucking what seemed like forever. It's like, yeah, just see if you can
Yeah.
stay on it. See how good your time is. And then he would
Yeah.
turn the click. Then he would mute all of them and leave it for a bit, and then start bringing them in and seeing how far. And it was just. He
Yeah.
said, if you could do it really slowly,
Hmm.
then you can do it fast. And he said, not talking like 200 BPM. Like if you can nail your time when it's really slow, that is
Hmm.
a bigger indicator as to how well
Hmm.
you'll play at like those moderate tempos, like 80, 90, 120.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to do that a lot too. I mean, not exactly like that, but I used to put it on like 40 and then like just play scales through a variety of subdivisions,
Mm.
like quarter notes, eighth notes, triplets,
Yeah.
quintuplets, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's
fun.
it's always fun to do that, and it's so revealing. You know,
Yes. Yes. Revealing is the
it
best
can be
word
very
for it.
humbling. Very humbling.
I do. I had a student that it just reminded me of this actually. He was in on Tuesday, and I said to him, I gave him a bunch of things that I wanted him to do. And one of them was just like a really simple riff. I think it was like Back in Black. I just want to do the first half of Back in Black, just a ba da da, ba da da, ba da ba da ba da ba.
Mhm.
Just that. That's all I want you to do. And you're going to loop that. And I said, how's it going? He said, yes, yes, going well. I said, cool. Right. So I put the click on. I said, just have a go. And he went, oh, you know what? He said, I can do it without the click. I can't do it with the
Yeah.
click. I said, then you
Right.
can't do it. You can't do
Yeah.
it. You're out. You're wobbling. And he played it. He was like, I'm like, you're wobbling all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I can do it without the click. It's like, no,
Yeah.
the click's moving. It's not.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But it is interesting because it could be hard. But I think I don't know. I think where's my train of thought here? Like, kind of sometimes I almost feel like it can be easy to be like scared of the click. You
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
because like you turn it on and then you try to play like a scale like really slow or something, and then there's so much anticipation. There's almost like tension that comes in when
Mm,
you're trying to be super accurate. And then I almost wonder like, is that actually helping in that case? And so maybe what you need to do is be able to like settle down so much that it doesn't really feel like you're trying to do anything, you
mm,
know, and you're just kind of you're able to play it without it feeling like this huge lift or something, you know?
mm.
I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
kind of thinking out loud.
Yeah, no, it's fine. No, I think it's all of my students within like the first couple of lessons that I have them playing to a click because I think it's so
Mhm.
It's so important that just being able to play in.
Right. For sure.
And I just want them to get used to doing it. And I don't make a big deal of it. I don't like, okay, now it's like, I'll just literally just pop the click on. All right, we'll do it with the click now. So I try not to make a big deal out of it because I know that if I get people who are slightly older and they come in and they've been playing for a few years and I'm like, your timing's
Mhm.
just fucking, it's off.
Yeah.
It's gone. It's like, Jesus, right. And I had
Yeah.
this theory that when I get those types of students come in who've had lessons and their timing is so out, first of all, I asked them, like, I asked myself, like, did their old teacher, did they not notice this? Or did they assume that they would eventually just figure it out on their own?
Right.
But they haven't. So now you're going to have to go back to almost just strumming crotchets and quarter
Mhm.
notes to a click. Just, can you get your foot to tap? Can you lock into that? Can you stay there? And I think it's a little bit sad because it's just such a fundamental part of playing that it's
Mhm.
just been overlooked in favor of, I don't know, just banging through
Yeah.
songs.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, and I wonder if for some of those people, like, a progression would be helpful, like, playing along with a record first. And then once you can play along with the record well, then try and do it with the click, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I switched. Like, I'm not some kind of metronome monster that just and it
Yeah.
initially puts people onto a click. Of course, yeah, we put songs on and play along to them. But if their timing is
Yeah.
so bad and maybe they can't even hear the chord changes,
Right,
then
yeah.
I've then got to start removing it, and then
Yeah,
we
yeah.
start going to the click, or I turn the click off and I'll just click my fingers because that's got
Mhm.
a little bit more
Mhm.
movement.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I mean, I just think it's such a fundamental part of learning music. And when I was at college,
Mhm.
we had a tutor that said, two most important things in music is playing in tune and playing in time. Everything else is down to you as a
Mhm.
creative.
Yeah.
And I've kind of
Yeah.
run with that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so the other thing I've got to talk to you about is how would you define pocket?
Hmm, that's a good question. How to define pocket?
Because you know when you're in it, but it's
Yeah,
difficult. I
yeah, yeah, it's a tough one to define, but I guess I would say, it's like taking something like James Brown, for instance, and you could say the same thing about Fela Kuti. To me, it's like kind of the roles of the instruments in those bands are very similar.
yeah.
But, everyone has like their specific thing that they have to play, right?
Hmm.
And you basically don't really move from that. And if something is out, it kind of throws everything off. I mean, I don't know if this is a kind of a roundabout way to define it, but I guess I would say that if I'm playing in a groove like that, I always like to think about. I always like to make sure that I'm listening to, like, there may be like something that you could call like your rhythm buddy in this
Mm.
particular song, and that could change from song to song. But on some tunes, it might be like, this part of my groove totally lines up with the snare hit,
Yeah.
or this part of the groove, like, I'm playing the same note at the same time as the bass player on this part of the groove, you know. And like, if you can be aware of that on each song or each section of locking those things together, then I think that if everyone's doing that, then it would feel like it's really in the pocket.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that maybe that's more of like a description rather than a definition.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I couldn't. Like, so I tried to explain it to a student. The only way that I could explain it was that it feels like, for me, it feels like the drum and the bass, or the drums and the bass, are almost like a wall that I can lean against. And that's the kind of the
mhm,
only way that I always say to them, like, it's the snare drum usually that you want to lock in with, just
mhm,
sitting on that backbeat. And it should feel like you're
mhm.
just leaning up against it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the only way that I can describe it.
Yeah. 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 I think that makes sense, you know. Yeah, I like the thought though. It's like, some of those James Brown tunes, like, if you think compositionally, I've told this to students before. It's like, compositionally it might just be like D7, you know. So what is the actual composition? The actual composition is kind of the arrangement. It's kind of like, how do all these parts fit together? Like, why does this guitar part sound good in context? Like, if you play this guitar part with nothing else, it might sound pretty bare, you know, depending on the
Yeah.
song. It might sound pretty bare. But if you add all the other instruments in, then it really feels like a whole it's like a it's like a piece of visual art, all
Yeah.
these little pieces lock in together, at very specific times to make like a full picture.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I kind of like to think about that, and I kind of also like to make sure that I'm aware of who my rhythm buddy is on a
Mm.
particular song.
Yeah. And what are you using live now? Amps, Sims, combination?
No, no, I'm always using amps. But when Snarky makes records, the last few years we've been using Kempers
Yeah.
just to reduce bleed because there's so many live mics around. So we're
Okay.
trying to reduce bleed whenever we can. So we've been using Kempers for the last few records, but live we always use amps. And a couple guys use in-ear monitors, but most of us just use regular floor monitors.
Okay. Old.
But yeah, yeah. I just like the
Okay.
sound. I mean, we've used in-ear monitors when we've played gigs with the Metropole for the same reason because there's just so many live mics and it's going to be too
Yeah.
loud.
Yeah.
So we'll use them for that. But generally speaking, it's like I like the sound and feel of an amp moving
Mm.
air, and it's just
Any
a
particular favorites? Or what are you taking out on tour these days?
well. Usually on tour, we'll just use whatever backline there is, and
Okay.
often it's like hot rods because they're like available everywhere
Yeah.
and they're relatively sturdy and sound fine. But I have a Victoria, like a Tweed Deluxe copy,
Okay.
basically
Right.
that I love. So I use that all the time for most recording from home. And if I'm doing my own shows, I'll usually bring that. I like a lot of like old Fender amps generally,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Blackface and in the Tweed ones as well. Those are usually my go-tos.
Yeah. They're
Even on the
lovely.
Kempers, I was using a Bandmaster model.
Yeah. I was uh, I was doing a show a couple of months ago, and I needed a nice, clean, chimey Fender
Hmm.
sound, and I just couldn't dial it in with the sim that I've got, or the 2 sims that I had, and I've got a Tweed Fender here, and
Hmm.
I just plugged it in. I was like, "There's the fucking sound that I'm looking for." I
Yeah,
can't. I was just kind of like I got close enough, but it just has that cleany, headroom, chimey kind of
yeah, it's classic.
sound to
Yeah,
it. That's just yeah,
I love them.
yeah, lovely. Do you think with modern social media, modern music, modern colleges, Jesus, put my teeth in. Uh, do you think there's anything missing in terms of education? Do you think people aren't looking at this enough? People need to work more on this.
That's a good question too. I guess. Well, again, I don't know a whole lot about what's going on in the schools, but I guess what I would say is making sure people are learning from recordings rather than like sheet music, you know.
Yeah,
I think when I was in college, I mean, of course I was doing some of that, but I was also learning a lot from reading.
yeah,
And I think that is something that you really can't like if I learn like a jazz tune today or even like a bebop tune or something, like I never want to look at sheet music. I always just want to do it by ear. I feel
okay,
like you can get so much more out of it. So I didn't do that as much when I was in college. So I would hope that people were doing that more. And also
mm,
like I guess the other thing I would say is that like even when like learning solos, like transcribing solos, a lot of times I feel like back then I was like just learning the solos and then writing them down
mhm,
and then maybe analyzing them and then maybe even learning how to play them partially from reading them.
yeah,
And nowadays I think it's much more useful to like be able to sing the solo.
mm,
So I always kind of try and sing it first. Sometimes I'll sing them and then not even play them on the instrument because
okay,
you kind of like get into the feel of it. You kind of learn it on a feeling level rather than just learning the notes.
yeah,
So I think that can be helpful. And of course it's helpful to to then play them.
Hmm.
But I noticed that it has an effect on me, even if I just sing it.
Hmm.
If I do it, for a little while and I really know the solo,
Yeah.
even that alone will have an effect on me that I feel like is positive. So yeah, I think that people should do that more as well, and maybe don't even bother writing it down, or I don't even know that you need to do that. You know.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, listening is again, it's just such a key fundamental part of learning that you don't see many people talking about listening on. I
Hmm.
mean, if we assume that most young adults, kids are learning, or they're subsidizing learning from the internet, YouTube and Instagram,
Hmm.
I don't see anyone really talking about listening, ear training,
Hmm.
just listening to music in general. And there's a lot of here's how you sweep pick 16th notes at 120
Right.
BPM, but
Yeah.
there's not a lot of go and listen to some Miles Davis, go and listen to some Wes
Yeah.
Montgomery.
Well, that's another thing. That's another thing too. I think is that like people will, if they're only learning from like YouTube and just learning these little snippets,
Mm,
then you're missing the bigger picture like of like a song, of like a piece of art.
yeah,
From top to bottom, composition, intro, solos. You know, melodicism in the solos. So it's not just the hot licks; it's also all
yeah,
the other stuff. You know.
yeah.
So I hope that kids are listening to records,
Yeah,
you know?
I can tell you now, from my experience, they're not.
Okay.
It's really sad. Most
Yeah.
of my students, and I probably have 30 to 35 students.
Mhm.
There's probably a handful that listen to music daily for pleasure,
Mhm.
and they're the kind of intentionally listening to music as well. And it's
Mhm.
just, it's just such a struggle, and it's just a needless struggle as well. It's like because it's so easy to access.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you're still
Yeah,
like,
they
I'll write down like here's 5 albums. Go listen to those 5 albums this week. And I'll come
Yeah.
back and say, "What do you think of them?" I said, "Oh, I didn't have time to listen to them." But it's not
Yeah.
homework. It's not a thing that you have. It should just be on. Like you've come for
Yeah,
music
right.
lessons. You're here for a reason because you wanted to come here. Why aren't you listening? It's just such a bizarre. It's I can't get my head around it. And I asked
Yeah.
one kid. He's doing his grades. He's doing his grade 7. And for the life of me, he's doing grade 7. I don't know how he's passed his other exams. Like G to E minor. I was like, just play G to E minor. Could
Mhm.
you make it sound like music? And it just sounds like this mechanical,
Yeah.
robotic process. It's like, it just doesn't sound good. It just sounds like you're struggling. And I just said, like, do you listen to music? He's like, not really. I was like, "Do you listen? Do you have like an emotional connection to music?" No. I was like, "Okay, why are you here?" He said, "Well, my
Yeah.
mum said that learning an instrument's good." I said, "Yeah, it is, but you have to be listening." It's like
Yeah.
imagine learning French, but you never listen to a French person talk.
Yeah, right.
You're learning
Yeah.
from a book. It's just going to sound shit. It's going to sound shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true, yeah.
I find it. It's just baffling to me. Baffling.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that, like, what are you listening to at the moment?
I just was listening just before this call, I was listening to this new John Scofield record with Dave
Oh, okay.
Holland.
Right.
Just like a duo record.
Yeah.
Let me look at my iTunes and see what it says on here. What else am I listening to?
Have you seen the John Scofield movie or the
I
documentary
did, yeah,
that's yeah, I
a
watched
couple
that.
ye
That's really, really good.
yeah, it
I
was
caught I
really
caught it
cool, yeah.
recently.
Yeah, really cool.
What
I've been into really, the last few years, really, I've been into this artist, Madison Cunningham. Do you know her?
Okay. No.
She's like a singer-songwriter from LA, and she's really great. It's like and she's a great guitar player too.
Okay.
Great singer, great songwriter, great guitar player.
Son of a bitch. Talented people.
Yeah, and she's young. I think when I first heard her, she was like 23 or something, and I was
Right,
like
okay.
I thought she was like 35 or something.
Right.
She's special. I think now she's probably in her 30s, but maybe
Okay.
not.
Oh, I'll check that out.
What else is on here? Oh, this I was listening to some old jazz guitar trio records that I haven't heard in a long time. Jim Hall live, and I
Okay.
think it's in Toronto.
Yeah.
That one's really great. Kurt Rosenwinkel, East Coast Love Affair. That's really cool. Yeah. That's just a couple things off the top of my head.
It's cool. Now, what about? So the other thing I will ask you before I let you go, if you when you go into like a session or a recording thing, or you're writing something, you're writing a part, and you realise that you're not there, you can't get it down. What's your process from? All right, okay, I'm going to have to sit down and shed this from I can't play it to all right, I'm ready to record it. Do you have a
Mhm.
process that you go through?
Yeah. If it's just like a part that I'm struggling with, then I usually just slow it down with the metronome and just kind of trying to get it under my fingers and then gradually speed it up.
Hmm.
Pretty classic stuff.
Yeah,
And if there's like a demo of it on like Logic or something,
yeah.
like with MIDI or something, then I might even just slow it down on there and try to play it
Okay,
with the recording at a slower tempo. So nothing rocket sciencey about that. But I guess like if it's like something that's a little tricky to like solo over, for instance, then
right.
I might just make a loop of the chords on like on Logic or something
Yeah,
and just kind of practice shedding over it,
mm,
trying to get really inside the harmony so I can kind of hear like lines that might, just trying to hear melodies over the chords basically,
right. Yeah,
like
yeah,
I was
yeah.
saying before.
So rather than saying, right, this is this chord here, this belongs to this scale, so I'm going to use melodic minor over this chord, and then I'm going to switch to this. You're generally just thinking like, where do
Yeah.
I want it to go?
Yeah, I try not to do that. I mean, there has
Yeah.
been times when like it's just been too complicated and I haven't been able to like really hear stuff over it.
Mm,
So I kind of had to like kind of think a little bit more theoretically.
yeah.
But the goal is always to just like see if I can hear a line that kind of works over this chord progression.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a lesson with a sax player that said that guitar players think of everything vertically. So you're thinking of
Mm,
chords as chords, whereas sax players, we
mhm,
like to think of things horizontally. So we'll
mhm,
try and divide things up, create lines that will fit and alter as the chord alters. But yeah, he said
mhm,
generally I'll try and think of something if it's a really fucked up bizarre progression, I'll still try and think of it in a key center, and then I'd make these
mhm.
tiny adjustments as those outside chords come along.
Yeah, right, right.
Yes,
I've done that
I'm
too.
thinking
Yeah.
vertically rather than okay, D7, okay, now G flat, now because you like you just it hurts your head after a while.
Yeah, it hurts your head. And it's hard to make to play a line that I feel like connects
Mm,
all of it together if like that, It seems like if you can just hear like I think what he said makes sense. Like if you can just hear something and then change the notes that are needed to be changed to fit
mm,
the
yeah,
chord, and then it kind of I think can be a little more fluid.
yeah, yeah. And what's anything going on for the rest of the year? Are you planning on coming to the UK at all?
I don't know if there's any trips there yet right now, but yeah, I mean, Snarky is doing our festival in Miami
Mhm.
in just about a month.
Okay.
And then we're doing like a tour in the US after that. And I'm producing a record right now that should be out. It'll probably be out sometime in the fall. So there's a bunch of things here and there, a bunch of like little gigs as well
Yeah.
throughout the year, a couple snarky tours throughout the year.
Okay. Well,
So
I'll keep an eye out, and I'll see if I can get down to a show if you're down this way.
yeah, are you in London?
Yeah, I'm South London, 25 minutes from the train into Central.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I just played there with, actually it was in January. It was kind of a while ago.
Okay.
But yeah, I just played there with the band. Actually, no, it was like last January. So it was
Oh
like
shit. Doesn't time
2025,
fly?
I guess. Yeah.
Doesn't seem to
So it was
slow down.
not that recently, but we played at Pizza Express.
Oh yeah, in
Yeah.
Holborn.
Yeah. Yeah, that one.
Yes. Lovely little venue. All right, Bob, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for your time. I
Yeah, no
really
problem.
do
Thanks for having
appreciate
me.
it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll keep an eye out if you're back in town. I'll drop you an email. Maybe we'll go out for a coffee or a beer.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Awesome, man.
Thank you for your time. I
Nice to meet you.
will speak to you soon. Lovely to meet you too. Thank you.
All right. Sounds good.